Working on this here Chevy Blazer. Here's the issue now. See, when we turn the key over here, we get it over into the run position. You got this digital dash with some check engine lights and other things you'd expect from a Chevy, but nothing from up here. Even if we start the guy, you got nothing working up there, and that's a common problem with these Chevys with the digital dash. Rather than fix it, went to the junkyard and picked us up a new one. Now this truck's only got 144,000 miles on it, so that's an upgrade. But this has an 18-pin connector, and the digital ones, this one's got a 32-pin connector, so that's going to be a little bit of something we got to work through. First things first, examining on this, we got 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 bolts, I believe, that will take that out. The back side, I think, is mostly plug and play. Here's where your 18-pin connector is going to go. So we'll just have to do some wire splicing here in a little bit. I got to get all these trim pieces out of the way. Unfortunately, the guy that owned this truck before me did me the favor of breaking most of this stuff, so I don't have to be too careful. I'm gonna start down here with this lower dash part here, probably get these guys out. That should allow me to get these 2 screws out, maybe those 2 screws, a couple of screws up here. Pretty much anything that looked like a screw I just took off. Didn't make my life too complicated there with worrying about what they went to. Pull it down. Should be able to pull that little vent tube off. Maybe disconnect a few wires. And you know what? I just did the lazy option, and I just kind of pulled it down, and I'm gonna hold it out of the way there and just leave it like that. Come up here and start working on getting some of these guys out. I think this guy, that guy, maybe drop the steering column down a little bit. And that should allow me to pull this guy off. This guy here came off easy. Just a few connectors. But this guy here looks a little more complicated. There's a little vacuum thing that already fell off back there. And some cables over on this side. I guess I'll probably pop those off. Show you guys what I did here. This, whoop, I dropped it. This little lock washer, it sits right there on the end of this. So you can just pop that little line off. And then, I believe you should, well, I broke it. That little red part went right in there. Still intact. So I should be able to hook this all back up when we're done, hopefully. Battling the sun, I apologize for that, but, well, this shop's full, so we got 1, 2, and then 3, 4 bolts on the other side, except for that one's actually, yeah, that one, that should have a little nut on it, but it doesn't. On this side, you'll be able to see 1 up top, and then another one down on bottom. I think those are 10 millimeters, maybe? We had to take the little connector guy off of that. Same thing for that side. Just push these little clips in and then pick a few of your favorite profanities and get it on out of there. It's starting to get there. That's progress. Feed more things through. Hey now. Ha! There we go. Here's our 4 little bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are actually fake nuts. Futts? That's probably not what they're called. They're just kind of a weird Chevy thing. Now that we got all those out, let's just pull and scoot our eyes back here. And this is what I'm seeing. Right here. Must be where that plugs in. That's a little different than the one that we got. Well, I missed a step here. This little guy controls the little indicator for what gear you're in. So I suppose I probably want to disconnect that. Ran through a little test fit of our new old gauge cluster. And if you scoot your eyes back here, you'll see it's just not fitting. And I think it's because there's a design difference in this backing plate. But anyways, this is our 34 pin, 32 pin, I'll count the pins. It's a 30 something pin connector. I'm gonna take this out, figure out what wires go to what number, and figure out how we're gonna splice this. What I've determined from looking on the interwebs, this guy, green wire, is number 1. And then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 17, starts over at 18 with this pink one, all the way to 34. Now I'm gonna write out a wiring diagram on a sheet of paper before I do anything else. Here's what I came up with here. Using the digital multimeter, some common sense, and the internet. We got the 18 wiring diagram over here, and not really a diagram so much as a list of wires, and the 34 over here. So I got 1 to 13, 3 to 10. If you come over here, you got 1 and 13 is gray to gray, 3 and 10 is brown to brown, but then you got some things like 2 to 18, pink and white to pink to black. But see, I also got 12 pink to black and 15 pink to black. This analog harness uses pink to black on both circuits, and I'm not sure why, whereas this one uses pink to white and pink to black. But I think if we just keep it consistent based on what these things go to, it should work out. What I'm going to do is wire it directly. Got all my extra wires here. Somebody's going to call me a hack job here because, well, they're not going to like this. This is an upshift indicator. I didn't use it. The white is the tack. I didn't use it. This is actually appears to be a battery feed, the orange one. I wonder if it's to power the digital cluster, but I don't think I need it. So I heat shrinked and got everything there. I like to do a zip tie behind and in front of these cuts so that if you pull on this, it doesn't put any strain on your connections. And we'll plug this guy in, see if it works. Well, that sun glare is something fierce, but let's see if any of this is going to work. Oh, I forgot to hook up the battery. Battery hooked up, let's see. Come on, come on, come on. Look at that oil pressure balance. I'm still not getting a battery reading. That's concerning. I'm hoping this coolant comes up. But we're going 0 miles an hour again. We know our check engine light's on because it's a Chevy. It just means it's running. And the fuel gauge might be important too, but this guy is gonna be, that's about 90% of why I did this. Well, fellas, I'm gonna be honest with you here. It's not a good fit. It's not what I would call the right fit. The backing plate but you know, we're gonna squeeze everything back together and see if we can make it look good. This is how I'm holding my plug in place because it broke, so you know. Quality stuff around here. This actually looks pretty good. It's about factory. I think it's all lined up. I'm actually kind of impressed. Let's see if it still works. Look at that. Even the seatbelt guy tells you you're not buckled. That's working out just fine. That's a good little truck there. Battery gauge is probably off.